What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Face Mask Fantasy. I am your co-host, Nick Payne. With me is John Alsace. John, what's going on?
What is going on, y'all? I am happy to be here. For those that don't know, we are a YouTube channel that puts out content every day. So if you like getting fantasy content every day, hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, we got you covered. John, of the, first guest appearance on somebody else's program, so congratulations there. That was an exciting little thing to see.
Yeah, we got featured on Hoop Ball.
Yeah.
Our good friend Aunt Jermaine had me on to talk about the Buffalo Bills.
Good listen, very good listen. Yeah, they put a lot of stuff out, a ton of different options in the fantasy space, in the betting space. They cover all different types of sports. So shout out AG and John, good job and congrats. Just another milestone, right? So I guess we're doing something right, or maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, hey, hope so.
We're working on it. It's a work in progress, and we're going to continue to work on it. And we're going to continue to work on it today. We got a juicy topic to talk about today, John. There's a quarterback that's got everybody talking as recently as the midway point of the 2020 season down in Miami. Dolphins starter Tua Tagovailoa and his fantasy outlook as the unquestioned starter going into 2021.
Yeah, this was a topic that was recommended to us by a listener.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to the listener. Thank you for giving us this recommendation. And it was honestly on our list of players to hit on before the start of the season as well. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about Tua. I think he's a little bit of an unknown.
Little bit.
Coming into his second season, which is something you don't normally say about quarterbacks who earn starts in their rookie season. So how do you feel about Tua coming into his second season?
Good. I actually feel good. We can talk in circles all day about the Dolphins' decision last year with how they managed the quarterback position between Tua and Ryan Fitzpatrick. But at the end of the day, I think it's fair to say the Dolphins decided they valued getting Tua playing time when they felt like he was ready over trying to compete for a playoff spot with a, at the time, better incumbent in Fitzpatrick. Now Tua takes over. By all accounts, he is completely over the hip injury, the nasty hip injury that he suffered at Alabama. More time removed from that. There's workout videos that he's posting that he looks to be healthy. He's working on his mobility. He looks good. The Dolphins added weapons for him in the draft, added Jalen Waddle. They drafted Hunter Long in the third round. And it's a decent stable of talent already with Devontae Parker there, Mike Gesicki there. There's some pieces on this offense. And they didn't really add anybody in the run game. So I'm curious to see if Tua has a role there as a potential dual threat quarterback. Tua's as cheap as they come right now. You can have him at the end of drafts in any format.
To speak a little bit to exactly what you just said about Tua and his rushing floor, it was something that I was going to bring up a little bit later.
Okay. But
now's as good a time as any. In 2020, he rushed 36 times in 9 starts. If you extrapolated that over a 16-game season, that's 64 rushes, which would have been the 9th highest number in the league as far as quarterbacks are concerned. And he's up there with good company. He's up there with Russell Wilson. He's just ahead of Daniel Jones on the season. Now, I don't think he's going to be hitting the 100 rush mark that Josh Allen and Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson are hitting.
No.
But another tidbit is I was looking at dropbacks and evaded pressures. He comes second in the league in his rookie season in dropbacks where he evaded pressure. In the entire league, number 1 was Josh Allen. 26.1% of his dropbacks, he evaded the pressure. Tua is number 2 with 24.4. And that's with an O-line that ranked 28th in the NFL, according to Pro Football Focus in 2020. It was a bad O-line, but he was still able to avoid pressure at an almost league leading rate ahead of Lamar Jackson, whose O-line was markedly better, and ahead of Kyler Murray, who again, whose O-line was markedly better in terms of pass protection than even the Ravens for Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that long ago that Tua was highly touted as a high-end quarterback prospect. I mean, he went fifth overall.
Yeah, we were talking about tank for Tua.
Right. There were a lot. Yeah, before Joe Burrow exploded onto the scene. Tua was the anticipated QB1 off the board in the draft. He fell to QB2 in conjunction with Burrow going off and his hip injury. Now he's healthy, and the Dolphins clearly invested in Tua. They didn't draft a quarterback. They drafted weapons. To your point, the offensive line is still very much a work in progress, but that could be a good thing for Tua's rushing upside. And presumably, he could run at a higher rate if he's healthy, if the hip's feeling better, if the hip is good, and the confidence is back. And, like I already mentioned, it's not exactly some outstanding stable of running backs that Miami has. Myles Gaskin looks like he's going to be a decent player, but Tua could absolutely vulture plenty of rushing production. I think relative to his ADP, I think he's going to shatter expectations. Like I don't know that I could put him as a QB1 right now, but he's absolutely startable in Superflex leagues. I think from day one. If you're somebody who maybe waits on quarterback, maybe you try to stack your roster, maybe quarterback is a little bit of is lighter for you as far as your depth chart goes. Tua is an awesome target.
Yeah, right now on Underdog Fantasy, he has an ADP of 146. If you're in a 12-team half PPR best ball situation, you're drafting him in the 12th round. And even for Superflex, if you're looking in a dynasty league, expert consensus ratings for quarterbacks for startup dynasty leagues, he comes in at 63. So you can get a quarterback that is guaranteed to start,
no question,
all games if we take injuries out of the equation. And in a Superflex league, you can get him in the 6th round in a 10-team Superflex league. That's kind of crazy to me.
And I totally forgot to mention their big offseason signing as far as weapons go. They added Will Fuller.
Right. They added a clear influx of speed at the wideout position.
They wanted to add a dynamic to their offense that was missing in 2020, and they addressed
exactly.
that. They addressed that.
To that, so like, why do you think his ADP is so low, considering he has an influx of, by all accounts, ascendant wide receiver talent, and he's back from injury, and he could have a much better rushing floor than we've seen from him? Why is he so low?
People don't like what they don't know, right? People don't like what they cannot fall back on as far as past production. And we've only seen 9 games of Tua, and in some situations it was half of one of those games. I think at this point it's short-sightedness. He's over the injury. The Dolphins have fully invested in him. They're building the offense around him. They didn't draft a quarterback. They didn't take one of the top prospects. Some people thought they could conceivably, so it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. You're talking about guys, let's just, all of the rookies are going ahead of him. Trey Lance is going ahead of him. Trevor Lawrence is going ahead of him. Justin Fields is going ahead of him. And all 3 of those guys obviously have a lot of hype built into them. But Tua's going into his 2nd year. And Trey Lance isn't even a guarantee to start week 1. Lawrence, actually the same can be said for Fields. Lawrence is, but there's 2 rookies that could conceivably not start week 1. So I would put Tua ahead of those guys in quarterback rankings by default. I'd put him ahead of Matt Ryan, who's going in drafts ahead of him. I'm not sure how many more quarterbacks I would put ahead of him at that point, just because I think, you're talking about Matt Stafford, Joe Burrow, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. All of these guys should absolutely be drafted ahead of Tua, but it's dirt cheap for a quarterback. Like he is a perfect deep, late round flyer at the easiest position to fill. Well, in one quarterback leagues anyway. In Superflex, he's still a value because you can have him after the rookies. You can get him after Trey Lance, after Trevor Lawrence, after Justin Fields. And again, 2 of those 3 guys might not start week 1. You can even have him after Matt Ryan, who I'm not sure, as much as I think the Falcons are going to throw a ton this year, I like the weapons. I'm not sure I want Matt Ryan, though.
We know what we can expect out of a guy like Matt Ryan. But to speak a little bit to what Tua did last season, it wasn't without its drawbacks. I mean, it can't be ignored, even by somebody who doesn't want to be scared off of the unknown with him. He did have an adjusted yards per attempt of 6.2, which ranked 29th in the league for starters. He completed 10 of his 29 downfield pass attempts in 10 games. That's Ben Roethlisberger, Carson Wentz level, and that's not prime Wentz. That was 2020 Roethlisberger with no elbow, and Wentz, who was arguably one of the biggest disappointments in the NFL that season from the quarterback position. He had the second lowest QBR and passes 25 yards plus down the field. He had the second lowest passing yards per game in the NFL over the stretch of games that he played. I mean, he was not good, but if you look, again, all these numbers are about deep ball passing. And his wide receiver core last season was Devontae Parker. Preston Williams got injured, did he not? I mean, they were throwing in Lynn Bowden and Isaiah Ford at times last season before he got cut, and Jakeem Grant, right?
Yeah. None of these guys are names that necessarily strike fear in defenses.
And now he's got Jalen Waddle and Will Fuller. I mean, and Devontae Parker, who was their number 1, is now conceivably their number 3. I mean, we're going to be looking at a completely different offense for Tua. So I, like you, am not one that's going to really dwell on what he did in 2020.
Especially coming off a horrible injury. Like, it was a devastating, it wasn't just a run-of-the-mill injury. It was a pretty devastating one, and hip injuries are weird. They're difficult to navigate. I attribute a lot of his struggles not just to the fact that he was a rookie, but he was seeing his first game action coming off the injury.
So at his ADP, are you investing in him?
Yes, without question. I think his value goes up by this time next year. I think he outperforms his ADP. I think he's absolutely startable in Superflex. And I think he will have streaming appeal in one quarterback leagues if an injury comes about to a higher end option in that department. I just want to look at one more thing and then I am done. Taking a look at their schedule, because the Dolphins are not going to play a first place schedule this year. The fantasy playoffs.
I mean, just look at the division that they're going to be playing in. The only team they have to really contend with that is of note is the Buffalo Bills. They play the Jets twice a year.
They play the final 4 games of the fantasy season next year. Conceivably, I'm wiping out Week 18 where they play the Patriots, who that could be a good miss for fantasy. They play the Giants, the Jets, the Saints, and the Titans. That's a pretty solid stretch of defenses that are decent, not great. Maybe the Saints are the best of that group, but Tua's got a decent schedule. He gets the Texans. He gets to your point, he gets the Jets twice a year. He gets the Panthers, whose defense is not good. He gets the Falcons, whose defense is not good. He gets the Jaguars, who are in year 1 of coming out of a rebuild. He gets the Raiders. There are some juicy matchups on this schedule. I absolutely think Tua will be starting in Superflex leagues this year, and he will have streaming appeal in one quarterback leagues. His value is outrageous right now. He's free in all formats. You don't have to spend anything to get him, and I expect nothing but improvements across the board for him now that he is fully healthy, year 2 in the offense, and improvement in the weapons department across the board.
What do you guys think? Do you guys think, like us, that Tua is a great value, a great bargain in 2021 and beyond? Put your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you for listening. This is Face Mask Fantasy, bringing you fantasy content every day on our YouTube channel. So if you haven't hit that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.